With the English Bill of Rights, we're covering the roots of our rights today, looking at the English constitutions and what rights were brought in with the people that came to the New World. Okay, so there is a right to bear arms in the English Bill of Rights. Okay, it's just not in that excerpt. So you guys know I kind of have a loud voice, and Mr. Swords, who teaches world history next door, heard me doing this a couple of years ago, and he came in after class. He didn't embarrass me. You know, he didn't want to embarrass me, so he just came into class and said, "Hey, Charlie, actually, in the English Bill of Rights, there is the right to bear arms." Okay. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know that. It's not in there." Okay, so going the extra mile. Okay, so you guys can mark that if you want. Okay. All right, so let's start with the Magna Carta. Okay, on page 20. A. Okay. 1215, the Great Charter. Yes. And with this, guys, we get this is King John, who, as I mentioned the other day, didn't really want to sign this, but was kind of forced to. Okay. And remember, this is the first time, for your essay, this is the first time that the absolute monarch has limits placed on it. Okay. Setting up the principle of limited government. Okay. Which is something, I know, $7 trillion in spending this year. Doesn't seem like we have a limited government, but it is a founding principle. Let's become humorous. Thank you. Yes, appreciate it. Yeah, okay. All right, so in this, I don't think anybody found freedom of speech. We'll go one constitution at a time. Magna Carta. Nobody found freedom of speech. Wait, somebody might have. Somebody had freedom of speech, Mark? Want to convince me that there was freedom of speech? No, if you criticize the king, you could still get in trouble. Yes. Okay. All right. Freedom of religion. Isaac? No. You had it. Yeah. And I asked you. I said, so because you marked all three because you just carried it over. Okay. So where'd you find that?
First subsection, and the 63rd talks about the church, and that the men in our kingdom have it will be enforced and well in peace without any.
Okay, so in 1215, what was the official Church of England? No. Catholicism. Yeah, it was the universal church. It was the only church, right? So let me ask you. You know a little bit. So, do you think there were any pagans in England in 1215? People that weren't Catholic? Possibly, I don't know how many, but maybe some Jews living in England? Did they have freedom of religion? Or did the Catholic Church have reign? See what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, so if you weren't Catholic, you didn't go out and evangelize and prophet. You know what I mean? It's like, okay. All right. I did see somebody had freedom of the press marked. I won't call you out. I'm curious if you want to defend it and tell me where you found that. I don't have it, but okay. No. Okay. It's not in any of them. Okay. Freedom of press is unique to the United States. Okay. So is speech. Okay. Listen. We'll get to the other ones because some people had it marked. We'll talk about it. Okay. Let's drop down to Magna Carta, right to bear arms. No. Soldiers in your house. Magna Carta. No. Okay. What about unreasonable search and seizure? Do you have that one, Gus? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I have it marked both in 39 and 41 that you find no unreasonable search or seizure, which today is what amendment to the U.S. Constitution? It's in the Bill of Rights. Fourth. Yeah, that's the Fourth Amendment. Okay. Due process of law. You find that in Magna Carta? Yes. Okay, let me explain for those, listen, you may not know this, some of you. Guys, any interaction that you have with a government official, there are certain ways they have to treat you. There's a process that we are all due. So if you get pulled over by the police, first of all, do they need a reason to pull you over? Yes, that's due process. They pull you over, okay, and they ask to search the vehicle. Can they search the vehicle? Unless there is probable cause. That is due process. If they're going to arrest you, they have to read you your Miranda rights. That is part of your due process. If they charge you with a crime, you have a right to a trial by jury. That is part of your due process. Does that make sense? Okay. So we are all granted due process. And it starts here with the Magna Carta. Okay. And so it can be any of those things, any of the above. We typically say the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution covers due process. But if you think about it, the Fourth Amendment, no illegal search or seizure, no unreasonable fines, okay, that is also due process. Okay, so if you look at the Bill of Rights, guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. First 8 are protections from your government. They protect you from your government. Okay. 9 and 10. 9 to some extent as well. 10 protects the states. Okay. All right. The next one, trial by jury, Magna Carta. Yes. Okay, it's in there. Black and white. No excessive fines or bail. No. No cruel punishment. No. Right to petition your government. Anybody have that check? Don't be afraid. Anybody have that check? Okay. You guys tell me what you think. Look at number 14 on Magna Carta. And also have a common council of the kingdom, which will cause to be summoned the archbishops, bishops, abbots, earls, and great barons, individually or by our letters. Now, what is a council? A council generally, if we're talking about with the king, is going to do what? Advise. Okay? Now, do they have the right to petition the king? These archbishops, earls, and so barons, whatever. To some extent, yes. But do they represent, does that represent our right to do it? People's right? Not necessarily. Okay, so good. It's okay not to have a check. Okay, that would be good. That's the right answer. Okay. All right. Habeas corpus. Yes. Okay. So if they are going to charge you, there has to be a witness. They have to charge. If they're going to hold you, they have to charge you with a crime. There's a witness against you. Usually, guys, that witness is the state, the government. Okay. But they can't just indefinitely hold you without charging you with a crime. Okay. In our country today, generally, guys, that's 72 hours. They got to cut you loose. Okay. All right. Magna Carta. Okay, so that dates back for us over 100 years. Okay. All right, let's move on to 400 years later. The Petition of Right. Okay, now let's kind of look at some of this history here, okay, because it's kind of fun. 1628, the English Parliament drafted statements of grievances presented to King Charles I. By this time, you'll recall from world history, England had become a Protestant nation. Did anybody look up what year Protestant Reformation happened? 1517, I believe. 1517. We just had the 500th anniversary a few years ago. What year was the Protestant Reformation? You already look it up. Okay. I was right. 1517. October 31st. Okay. All right. Still talking about this. Okay. So now the Anglican Church is the Church of England. Okay. They broke allegiance with Rome. Charles perceived himself to be a divine right monarch. As head of state, he was also the head of the Anglican Church. A faction known as the Puritans had grown increasingly disgruntled, and many of the practices and traditions of the Anglican Church, not the Catholic Church, over the years, okay, so maybe the Catholic Church too, and wanted to purify the church by making it more Protestant. Angered over Charles' claims of divine right, the Puritans sought and won overwhelming majority of seats in the Parliament in the House of Commons. As representatives of the common people, the Puritans argued that the king's authority was not unlimited, as King John acknowledged at Runnymede. Although he signed the Petition of Right under force, Charles accepted some of Parliament's grievances and made some reform concessions. One of the concessions required the monarch to obtain Parliament's approval rather than simply nobles' approval, which would be your House of Lords, the nobility, before levying taxes. Charles would eventually renege on many of these concessions contained in the Petition of Right, resulting in a civil war in which the army of the Parliament defeated Charles' supporters, arrested by the Parliament for treason. Charles was convicted and beheaded in 1649. Okay, these Puritans, man. Okay, these Puritans. So, all right, so under pressure, Charles I signs this. Okay, 1628. Do we find freedom of speech in that? No. Freedom of religion? No. Freedom of the press? No. Right to bear arms? No. Soldiers in your house? Yes. 6. Number 6. Okay. So this tradition dates back to 1628. Is it in our Constitution, in our Bill of Rights? What number? 3. No quartering of soldiers during peacetime. Okay? If there's a freaking major war and soldiers need somewhere to sleep and they're defending the country, well, we got to help. Everybody's got to help. Okay? All right. Number, no unreasonable search and seizure. Now, it's a carryover, right? But also, if you look at number 4, right? Correct? And if it is declared or enacted by authority of the Parliament, no man should be put out of his land, nor imprisoned, disinherited, put to death without brought to due process. Okay? Through due process, you can have your stuff seized. Okay? And then due process, of course. Okay? Just read it. Trial by jury, 3. And it's a carryover. Okay? No excessive fines with the Petition of Right. Did you mark that, Gus? Did you write where you found it? Would that be number 3 again? Dispossess or 4? 10. Okay, let's look at 10. They do therefore humbly pray to your most excellent majesty that no man hereafter be compelled to make a yield, any gift, loan, benevolence, or tax, like a charge without the common consent or act of parliament. Okay, so here's the difference, guys. Is there a difference between a fine and a tax? Okay, so now listen. This comes up in 2009 with Obamacare. Part of Obamacare said this: when you turn 27, because you guys know you can stay on your parents' health insurance through the age of 26. When you turn 27, you have to buy health insurance under Obamacare or pay a fine. Okay? But when that became law, 26 states sued the federal government saying the government doesn't have the power to force you to buy something or fine you for not doing it. Now, if you want to drive in the state of Kansas, it's a privilege. You have to have auto insurance. But you don't have to drive. Being alive, your health, your existence, you know what I mean? Everybody has that. Otherwise, if you're dead, you have no rights. Okay, so anyway, everybody's alive right now. And so, can they force you to buy something, and if you don't, fine you? And the Obama administration's response was that, oh, no, it's not a fine if you don't buy health insurance, it's a tax. And the Supreme Court bought it. But when it was sold to the American people, they called it a fine. Interesting. Okay. All right, so petition of right, no cruel punishment. Anybody have that one checked? I mean, you can do cruel punishment as long as there's due process, right? You're tried, found guilty of treason or of murder, and we execute you. But the words "no cruel and unusual punishment" don't appear in petition of right. Did anybody else have that checked? Just you. I don't think it's in there. No. Okay. All right. Drop down habeas corpus as a carryover for sure. Okay. And then we move to the soap opera. Okay. So King Charles loses his head. 1649. For 11 years, guys, there's no king. This is referred to as the Long Parliament. Yes? And who was in charge during the Long Parliament? What guy? What was the guy's name? Oliver Cromwell. How did that turn out? It didn't turn out very good. He kind of turned into this freaking dictator guy. And they're like, you know what? We need to bring back a king. So in 1660, they have restoration of the king. Who do they bring in? King Charles II. Doesn't make too much noise. Okay, King Charles II. Now, here's the thing. He's a Protestant. So it's fine. It's all right, right? But King Charles II doesn't have a son. So the heir to the throne is his brother, James. And what do we know about James? He's Catholic. So the Parliament's worried. Like, if something happens to Charles and he doesn't have a son, James is going to become king. And sure enough, Charles II dies. Natural causes. Doesn't lose his head. Okay. So James II becomes king of England. He's a Catholic over the Protestant nation. So they enact, it's not in your book, but they enact what's called the Edict of Nantes. And they tell King James II, listen, we understand that you're Catholic. If you have a son, you cannot have him baptized in a Catholic ceremony. None of your cabinet, your advisors, can be Catholic. Okay? So James accepts, and then he has a son. And what does he do? As any good Catholic would do, has him baptized as a Catholic. And the Parliament wants his head. So he flees the country. Where does he flee? To France, into the arms of Louis XIV. Okay? Now, England's without a king. Again. So they got to go find a king. And they find this guy, William of Orange. Where is Orange? The Netherlands. So guys, if you ever watch the Olympics or World Cup soccer, Netherlands always wears the color orange. Okay? William of Orange. Okay, now, he's Protestant and he hates France. He's got a strong army. This is a perfect fit. And even better, who is Mary? This is Mary of Braganza, the daughter of James II from a previous marriage that got annulled. It's like a soap opera. So Mary actually has the bloodline of the English crown. So William and Mary are told, hey, listen, we'd like you to become king and queen of England. And you just got to sign this document, the English Bill of Rights. And they accept. And England has a new king. So what do we find here? See what I mean when I talk about a soap opera? Okay. So, freedom of speech. Anybody want to take a shot at it here? Who can speak their mind and challenge the king? The right of the subjects to petition the king. Okay. Maybe. No, I agree. I want to talk about it. Like, maybe. Sounds like it. The general people, the common people. Guys, I have it as a question mark. Okay? Now, if you go to England today, in 2025, do they have freedom of speech? No. You can go to jail for making an offensive Facebook post. And they're doing that. The police are knocking on your door. We need to talk to you about that Facebook post you made. That was offensive. You're like, what are you doing, England? What is wrong with you? Okay? Canada, they don't have freedom of speech. There's no guaranteed right to it. Okay, so but since you had the first two religions marked, I can't help you. Okay? Sorry. The third one I could maybe let pass. All right, so freedom of religion. Did anybody have that marked for the English Bill of Rights? What's number 2 say? That the commission for erecting the late court of commissioners for the ecclesiastical causes and all other commissions and courts of like nature are illegal and pernicious. We got ecclesiastical, that's church, right? I don't know what I actually don't know what that word means. Does anyone, you know what that means?
Relating to the church.
Relating to religion? Okay. Court of Commissioners, I would assume that means that they can't control religious practices. Maybe? So like the government's not controlling? Like they can't establish a commission to control the church. I don't know. I got it as a question mark. Okay. But I don't think that Catholics were being treated very well in 1688. You know what I mean? Like to freely practice their religion in Britain. They were persecuted. And likewise in France, Protestants were persecuted. It was ugly. And then they fought a bunch of wars against each other. Look at how far we've come. As I stand here as a Protestant in a Catholic school in front of all Catholic students, talking about religion. It's fabulous. Look how far we've come.
Where did the color association for orange and green comes from for the Catholic and the Protestant? The orange comes from William.
It's from Ireland.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's, I don't know that answer. So maybe Ireland.
Protestants are orange.
Okay, well, that kind of makes sense. Yeah. Because of Netherlands, maybe. Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. I learned something today. All right, so freedom of the press, nope. Right to bear arms, Kirsten looked it up. Okay, it's there. Okay, that's important, right? Because when we come back across the pond to the New World, the people bring with them the right to bear arms. Okay, so I mean, it was kind of necessary in the New World to have a gun. Okay, in fact, it was mandatory in some places that you had a gun. So listen, every single guy in this room, if you were living in the colonies, 12 of the 13 colonies, except for Pennsylvania, it was mandatory for you to join the militia. And you would have to do, they would have what were called muster days. So it's on a weekend or whatever, and you would learn how to march and fire your musket and just learn some basic military tactics. Okay, it was mandatory. Okay, so you had to have a gun to participate in the militia. Okay. So, all right, soldiers in your house, carry over from the petition of right, unreasonable search and seizure, carry over, due process, yes, trial by jury, yes, no excessive fines or bail. That's a new one. Okay, good, it's in there. Okay, what amendment is that? No excessive fines or bail. What in the Bill of Rights? It's part of number 8. No cruel and unusual punishment or unreasonable fines or bail. Okay. No cruel punishment? Yes. Okay. Right to petition? Absolutely. And habeas corpus as a carryover. Obviously, this is a small excerpt of the English Bill of Rights. Okay. So what do we really learn here? The big focus, guys, the kind of the outside looking in, the macro focus with these constitutions is limited government and a transfer of power from the king to the parliament. Not just the House of Lords, but to the House of Commons, which is representative government. Okay, so the commoners, the House of Commons, are looking out for the people, the subjects, the average people. Okay, that's something you want to include in your essay. Limited and representative government are foundational to these documents. Okay, and our documents, foundational. Okay, now on the essay, guys. I don't need you to list all these rights. Okay. I wouldn't mind you listing a few of them. Okay. That should take place. You should have a couple of rights. I mean, you're going to throw due process in there. Okay. Illegal search and seizure, quartering of soldiers. Search and seizure, quartering of soldiers are two of the big reasons we went to war. The American Revolution. Those were being violated. Okay. And then if you talk about Lexington and Concord in 1775, what were the British going out to Lexington and Concord to find? Guns. So the Second Amendment as well. Right? So that's, I mean, if you can frame that in your essay, like, these are foundational to our government. these constitutions and would help lead to the American Revolution. But we obtain these rights, now through these constitutions. So what the ones that are unique to us? So like during the colonial governments, just to kind of move forward a little bit here. When we declared independence in 1776, there was no constitution for the 13 colonies as the United States. So those 13 colonies really become 13 countries temporarily until 1781. So the only thing holding together the 13 colonies is the Second Continental Congress in Philadelphia. Like they all sent delegates to Philly. It's held together by a small group of men in Philadelphia. And in 1781, they write the Articles of Confederation, which unites the 13 colonies under one constitution. But so between 76 and 81, those 13 state constitutions or 13 countries, they all write constitutions. And in some of those constitutions, guys, they put some things in there that we end up not liking too much. Like the official state religion of each state. So in order to run for political office in some of these states, you have to be a member of that certain religion. There was no freedom of religion in those state constitutions. And so when they wrote the Bill of Rights, they're like, dude, we got to fix this. We can't have an official religion of the country. It causes too many problems. You know what I mean? Like wars and civil wars and bloodbaths. Look at the Middle East, guys. What are they fighting over? Religion. Hopefully we've gotten past, obviously we've gotten back. We have so much religious tolerance in this country today. You know what I mean? We got, 30% of Americans don't even believe in God. And we have a lot of religious tolerance. And there's obviously, guys, religious intolerance as well. Okay? Some churches can be hateful towards other religions. Okay? Now, obviously, Catholic Diocese in Wichita lets Protestant teacher teach here. Okay? There's more Protestant teachers in this school than there are students. You guys know that, right? Okay, so, and some, you guys flip. Okay, like Coach Sorge, you guys flipped it. Okay. Okay, I've known a few that have flipped for the years. You haven't got me yet. You're welcome to try. My ears are always open. Guys, I've thought about it. I have a ton of respect for the Catholic Church, for your religion, your beliefs. I'm married. And my wife hasn't spent the time I have for 27 years with you guys. You know what I mean? I've been to more masses than a lot of Catholic people. You know what I mean? Seriously. So, sorry, I'm off track there a little bit. How much time do we have left? 7 minutes? 10? Okay. Well, let's, that was good. Good job, guys. We will, I think I have one more that we have to, I'll say, hey, I need you to read this. Okay. So, actually, I don't need that. I need that. Okay. So where did we leave off in the notes? Let's just move forward a little bit here. Okay. I'll probably knock off a little bit early, but okay. So, I was putting the notes up there, wasn't I? Yeah, let's just keep doing that. Saves time. Guys, when we start running out of time later in the semester, I'm just going to print them for you. And then I can go over them real fast. Okay. Yeah, yesterday we kind of did the French and Indian War and all that. Okay. So at the end of the French and Indian War, which 1754 to 1761, the British are in debt. Okay. Now, something to keep in mind. Hi. No, right now, bro, I'm teaching. Harrison. Want to get his stuff. Okay. The British are in debt. But one thing to keep in mind is that during the French and Indian War, the American militias were vital to the victory. Okay, so it wasn't just the British fighting, it was the colonies. And they felt they had a pretty high opinion of themselves. Okay, in actuality, when the Americans, this is kind of like Afghanistan, the last couple of years of the war in Afghanistan, the Afghans fought very well when they had air cover from the United States. Okay, when they didn't have air cover, well, they turned tail and ran. Okay, when the colonists, the militias, fought alongside the British, they performed very well. They were on their own. They struggled a little bit. Okay, but they had a high opinion of themselves. But the British, now I want you to look at this from the British perspective. They sent 20,000 regular troops across the pond to save us against the natives and the French. Is it too much to ask that the colonists chip in a little bit and pay some taxes to help fund that? No, that is too much to ask. Okay, but from the British perspective, and you can see, it did kind of help us out. So in 1760, King George, as the war's winding down, we're in debt. They're in debt. Decided to tax American and enforce mercantilism to help pay off the debt from the war, France, and cover the cost of protecting Americans from the Native Americans. Okay. Now, so we have the Stamp Act, right? That's our first one. Now, guys, when I lecture this, I need you to write down Stamp Act, right? That's the first major tax. So you need to know, you might mention the Stamp Act in your essay. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is a tax on all printed materials, right? You guys learn about this, I'm sure, at some point. So all printed materials. So it could be a pamphlet, okay? Could be a deck of cards, a newspaper, anything that's printed, okay? Well, the colonists don't respond well to this. A Stamp Act Congress is formed, okay? And John Adams, who's from Boston, he's a lawyer, okay, from Boston, Massachusetts. Now, what kind of colony is Massachusetts? It's independent, okay? They've operated without very little royal interference for 140 years, okay? And all of a sudden, the British are going to put this tax on all these printed materials. They don't like it, okay? They're like, no. Okay, so was it the Petition of Right that said the king couldn't tax without approval from the Parliament? Now, there was a House of Lords and a House of Commons. So the Parliament was a representative body. So you can't tax us without giving us representation or the ability to say yes or no to that. That would be akin to taxation without representation. Okay? And those words can be found in the Declaration of Rights and Grievances, which is sent to England. Okay? Many kind of refer this kind of a rough draft of the Declaration of Independence. So Parliament repeals the tax on stamps. So instead of stamp tax, we get the Townshend Act. So they come back with different taxes. Taxes on things like paint, lead, glass, tea, sugar. Okay? What's the response going to be? Oh, hell no. Okay? No. Okay? So, they start this letter writing campaign. So you get these men together because they're like, hey, listen, we got to explain this to the British. They can't be doing this. Now think about this. If the British would have said, okay, there's 13 colonies, and each colony gets to send 2 people to Parliament to represent the colony, and they have a vote in Parliament, we might still be British today. But they didn't offer us seats in parliaments because we were Americans and we were lesser than them. We were second-class citizens. Okay? Listen, these are smart men. They're well-educated men. So they set up the committees of correspondence, which will soon turn into the Sons of Liberty. Okay? At the beginning, it's just basically a letter-writing campaign to the British. Okay? So, a group of revolutionaries, this is the committees of correspondence, okay? Hancock, wealthiest man in Boston, he inherited it from his uncle. A shipping company, bunch of ships, okay? Now, for the committees of correspondence, Sam Adams and John Adams, okay? John Adams is not going to join the Sons of Liberty. Not yet. John Adams is a man of the law. And the Sons of Liberty like to break the law. So, John Adams isn't joining, his cousin. And by the way, Sam Adams is 13 years older than John Adams. Okay, they're cousins. Ben Franklin from Philadelphia. This guy named Thomas Paine, who has a way with words. And then a young guy, New York, named Alexander Hamilton. Okay? They will be part of this committees of correspondence. And then some of them will start the Sons of Liberty. Okay? Now, they're going to keep the revolutionary spirit alive, especially Hancock and Sam Adams. They're going to start stockpiling weapons. Okay? And this is one of the best odd couples in American history. 2 men that are completely different. Okay? We'll team up here. Hancock and Sam Adams. We'll save that for next week. So I do have like some videos I want to show you on this and so forth. So we'll make our way through the notes in the history, and then we'll watch it. Okay?